always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you today by Care Of, a subscription service that makes it easy to get vitamins, protein powders, and more personalized just for you and delivered straight to your door for a limited time only. When you go to takecareof.com and enter the promo code entertainment30, you will receive 30% off of your first order. I am your host, Sarah, and I am happy to be with you here on this Wednesday to talk about some of the news coming from the world of entertainment. There's, of course, always a ton of news coming from the entertainment world, and we're just going to touch on a few things today. Our first story comes from the world of Game of Thrones, but don't worry, it's not about Game of Thrones. There won't be any spoilers if you still haven't seen like me, any of the last season. We are going to binge watch it. I know I keep saying that, but we really are going to binge watch it soon, my husband and I. We just have to do it. We just have to find the time or take the time and sit down and do our Game of Thrones binge watching. But yesterday, Tuesday, reports surfaced indicating that Game of Thrones star Kit Harrington checked himself into a luxury rehab center in Connecticut for stress and alcohol use earlier this month. Soon after, though, representatives for the actor released a statement clarifying that he wasn't in rehab but was at the center for a wellness retreat. Now, according to a new report, that's being clarified a bit further, with Harrington reportedly at the facility due to living a very unhealthy lifestyle. According to Us Weekly, Harrington entered the facility for the sake of his wife, Rose Leslie. The source indicated that Harrington has been using unhealthy coping mechanisms and that Leslie is supportive of Harrington's choice. The source told Us Weekly that Kit went to treatment for Rose. He was living a very unhealthy lifestyle. He was stressed all the time and using unhealthy coping tools. I can only say that makes so much sense. I mean, Game of Thrones has been huge, and Kit Harrington has been a huge part of that show. So, you know, if you're going all the time, you can develop unhealthy coping mechanisms. So good for him if he is trying to get a handle on those unhealthy coping mechanisms. It's wonderful that it sounds like his wife is supportive and caring. The British actor apparently has been undergoing psychological coaching, practicing mindful meditation and cognitive behavioral therapy to combat stress and deal with negative emotions at the facility. The report says his actress, who is of course his wife, who is actress Rose Leslie, is being extremely supportive. The source said, "Well, that's wonderful. I would hope so." Yeah, so he says that there's a quote from Kit Harrington that says, "My darkest period was when the show seemed to become so much about John when he died and came back. I really didn't like the focus of the whole show coming onto John. When you become the cliffhanger of a TV show, and a TV show probably at the height of its power, the focus on you is effing terrifying." Again, I can only imagine the amount of stress that would come from being on such a huge, incredible show. Just the stress of filming a show like that, but also then the stress of people being so invested in the show and so excited about the characters. And, you know, some fans can take characters very, very seriously, and they have trouble differentiating between the characters and the actors. So again, I can only imagine the stress that would cause. We wish Kit all the best. Hopefully this is exactly what he needs, and that he is getting the help and treatment that he needs for whatever those unhealthy coping mechanisms are. It really doesn't matter what those coping mechanisms are, simply that they are unhealthy and he is addressing them. So good wishes to Kit Harrington and his wife Rose Leslie as they support one another through this transitional period. Our next story is a little happier and involves nudity. So you're probably glad that this isn't, I don't know if you're glad, maybe you're wishing that you could see the nudity, but that's what the internet's for, right? Turns out that Lena Dunham is taking it all off for a good cause. This is not unusual. She's not she's never really shied away from nudity. There were nude scenes for her in her show Girls, but the 33-year-old actress posted a picture of herself without clothes on her Instagram today, May 29th, with a call to action. And that call to action was comment on the post to raise money for a substance and alcohol addiction program. She writes, any negativity that comes your way is just an excuse to love yourself even more, right? Comment below with a reason you love yourself. I'll go first. I'm a sober, accountable adult who still loves to get naked. Okay, go. For every comment in the next week, I'll be donating $1 to @Friendly House LA, a residential program for women recovering from substance and alcohol addiction. So guys, be liberal with your self-praise, she wrote on the post. I think that is wonderful. Not always a huge fan of her work, but that's just me, and it has, nothing to do with her as a person. She has never, as I said, shied away from doing nude scenes, even though she's not the quote-unquote typical size for an actress, and I commend her for that. She is all about body positivity. She is about putting it out there, and, this is my body. Deal with it. I do. Everybody comes in different shapes and sizes. I love seeing people like Lena Dunham, who are in such a body-conscious profession, bucking that system, loving the body that they're in, being just as talented, and she is undeniably talented and smart, whether or not I enjoy her work or not. And I'm not saying that I just dislike all of her work as a whole. I'm just saying it's not always my cup of tea, but I commend her for this picture. The picture is tasteful. It's from the back, so you can't, it's not something that you have to worry about. Well, okay, it is a nude picture, so maybe don't open it at work, but it's not completely not safe for work. You could look at it. She is sitting on the grass. She is looking over her shoulder, looking kind of intense, maybe slightly sultry, but you can see many of her tattoos, and she is, in fact, naked. But I love the body positivity. I love the purpose behind the post. It's not just, hey, look at me, I'm naked, but let's talk about body positivity. And as we talk about body positivity, let's raise some money for a good cause and help women who are recovering from substance and alcohol addiction. So if you want to see the post, you can just go online and Google it. I'm sure it'll come up. Or if you follow her on Instagram, get out there and post if this is something that you believe in, if you want to support this cause that she's done. So that, I think, is really a good use of social media. Sometimes social media can be used in ways that aren't always helpful. So good on Lena Dunham for using her powers for good and not evil on social media. I can only imagine that there's going to be trolls. There are always trolls. It's just the reality of life, but I don't know that I could, because of that, I'm not sure how comfortable I would feel putting myself out there like that. That and the fact that no one knows who I am, so they would just be like, who is this random naked woman and why is she on my Instagram? And put some clothes on. That's what people would say. But hey, I love my body, so I'm not one to post nude pictures on Instagram, but I do love my body, and I'm pretty happy that it's gotten me through life so far. It's got some aches, it's got some pains, but it makes me pretty happy for the most part. So thank you to my body. Thank you to people who are brave enough to put themselves out there for worthy causes. And on that note, we are going to take our first break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be talking about some entertainment news from the world of music. Before we do go to that break, though, I want to talk to you a bit more about Care of, the vitamin subscription service that I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. And if you are looking to often January is the time when we start looking into healthier lifestyles, but often spring can be that time too when we start thinking about swimsuit weather. Speaking of body positivity. But if you are looking to shake off the winter blues and maybe spring into some healthier ways of being, you might want to go to takecareof.com and take their easy 5-minute online quiz and see what kind of vitamins and protein powders they recommend for you. The quiz is easy. It literally only takes 5 minutes. They ask you some great questions about your health goals, about your nutrition, your current nutrition, things that you may be concerned about, and then they put together a package for you that you can look at. You can take it as they recommend it. You can go to their catalog and supplement what you think you might need in terms of vitamins or protein powders. Everything is from the best sources and backed by honest guidance and transparency. They have vegan and vegetarian options. They have organic ingredients like cocoa and Himalayan pink sea salt. They have whey from free-range grass-fed cows from Ireland. So it's all good stuff. And like I said, that quiz is really easy. So go to takecareof.com to take that quiz. And for a limited time only, if you use the promo code entertainment30, you will get 30% off of your first order. So again, go to takecareof.com and enter the promo code entertainment30. Stay tuned. We will be right back with more entertainment news.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast. I mentioned before the break that we will be turning now to some entertainment news from the world of music. Our first story is about Iggy Azalea. She has had a difficult time of it lately. There were some photos released that should not have been. Over the weekend, private photos of Iggy Azalea were leaked online. It was later discovered that the photos came from a previous shoot she did with GQ Australia. GQ Australia editor Michael Christensen said he has released a statement condemning the publication of these photos without permission. He says, "We were very disappointed to learn that outtakes from a 2016 photo shoot which were not approved or intended for publication appear to have been stolen from the photographer. We understand an investigation is underway and join the condemnation of the publication of these images." Iggy Azalea also released a statement on this photo leak. I'm sure that she is not terribly thrilled to have had this happen. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, we did talk about Lena Dunham in the first segment, but you know, when you do something, when you put something online purposefully and with intention, that's that's one thing. But when things are posted without your permission, that is completely something else. The pictures do show Iggy Azalea without her top on. They were taken by Nino Munoz for, as I said, GQ Australia. The photographer also has released a statement saying, "I'm outraged and saddened to find out that images of mine were stolen and published without my permission. I empathize with any discomfort that this situation has caused to anyone that is involved." I'm sure that's got to be an awkward, horrible feeling for the photographer. Unless he was complicit in some way, it's not his fault that the photos were stolen. I wouldn't think. I have no idea how these things are safeguarded, what have you. But if people want to get access, they're going to figure out how to do it. But there's also, of course, a quote from Iggy Azalea, who said, "A lot of high-profile women have shot covers for GQ with a strategically placed hand, etc., covering their breasts, etc. I always felt they were very beautiful covers, so I jumped at the opportunity. I hadn't seen other women's covers leak, so I felt comfortable on a closed set to model for such a reputable magazine, knowing only the images with my hands covering would be considered for print. I never consented to taking topless pictures for potential release, period. It was my understanding before shooting, GQ do not print topless pictures." I can only imagine just kind of the violation that she must be feeling. And she does, in fact, say, "I feel blindsided, embarrassed, violated, angry, sad, and a million other things. Not solely because I did not consent to this, but also because of the vile way people have reacted." She plans on pressing criminal charges when they figured out where the leak originated from. Okay, so first off, this happens. The photos are released. I agree that all of those emotions are perfectly valid. What did she say? Blindsided, embarrassed, violated, angry, sad, and a million other things. Yep, those all seem perfectly appropriate. But then the internet, being the lovely place that it is, where people like to hide behind their keyboards, I can only imagine the horrifying comments that people are making. And because these are taken as part of a photo shoot, I'm sure that they are just, outtakes of that photo shoot. They haven't been airbrushed. They haven't done all the stuff that happens before a picture is released as part of a magazine cover. People, be nice. Come on. This is making me sad after the body positivity of that first segment. So, hopefully they will figure out who did this and they can take appropriate measures. But I don't know. Be nice, people. Don't go online. And if you don't have something, what did you not listen to your mom? If you can't say something nice, just don't say anything at all, even if it is on the internet. People have feelings. I'm done. That's my soapbox. Moving on to a less not controversial, but less story. That story made me feel kind of. That's my word. It's not a word, but we're moving on to a story about Ed Sheeran, who wants to make, I love this, an all-male Lady Marmalade, it's called Lady Marmalade. Hey, but I mean, gender fluidity, maybe that could play into it. I don't know. But the 28-year-old singer shared his thoughts during an interview with Charlemagne the God on Tuesday, May 28th. He said, "This project actually started with one idea I had, which was, you remember Lady Marmalade, right?" He said this while discussing his fourth studio album, number 6 collaborations project. He said, "This is such a silly idea. I had an idea of doing that. Like, you could get Bruno Mars, Justin Bieber, and me on a record, and how fun would that be?" I love that. Okay, so I'm happy that he's saying this is such a silly idea, because when you first see the headline, you're like, please tell me he's not serious, or he wants to make this in a serious kind of way. So he goes on to say, "The first person I rung was Bruno, and he was just like, let's just do a song together, just us." And that's how it happened, Ed continued. "So then I did a song with Bruno, and I did a song with Bieber, and these individual songs started happening, and then it turned into a project. It was really a really good experience putting the record together." you can imagine that people have thoughts on this. Even if it's not a serious suggestion, people still have thoughts. One person said you can't recreate perfection. Another added, I don't care if you are Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber. Lady Marmalade is iconic. I wonder if they're thinking of the original or the remake, the more recent remake with the movie of Moulin Rouge. I don't know, but I just want to know. I personally just want to know how they would do it. First, you'd have to name it something else, and then what would they be singing about? That song? Oh my gosh! No, seriously. Now I want them to do it, whether it's serious or not. I really want to know just how they go about it. Hey, it could turn out to be amazing, right? And even if it's not amazing, it's going to be amazing because of its craziness. That's what I know about that. Craziness can be good. I love Ed Sheeran, frankly. Pretty fond of Bruno Mars. Justin Bieber isn't my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean that he's not talented or popular. Just not my particular cup of tea, but it would certainly be interesting to put those together and see what came out. Moving on to some different music news, and that comes to us from the world of the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I'm not of the correct generation to love the Beatles, but I do. I always have. And some lucky fans are going to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience to meet Paul McCartney. I almost got to meet Paul McCartney once. It didn't work out, but I almost got to meet Paul McCartney. I don't know how I would have reacted. I would have been a total blithering idiot. So it's probably better that it didn't work out. But Charity Buzz, the online charity auction platform, has been working with Southampton Fresh Air Home to auction off a meet and greet with the former Beatle on his Freshen Up tour. The experience for 4 people will include priority check-in and entrance, invitation to McCartney's sound check, pre-show hospitality reception, a meet and greet photo opportunity, and official tour merchandise. This is a non-profit residential camp that offers summer sessions and year-round programs for physically challenged youth. To date, Charity Buzz has helped raise nearly $400 million for thousands of non-profit organizations, including Save the Children, Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights, One Drop Foundation, and Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The Paul McCartney experience is live until June 3rd, with bidding already up to $50,000. So that pretty much puts it out of range for me. I don't have that extra $50,000 sitting around, but that's okay. Because again, blithering idiot. I will just look on from afar and pretend that I am cool enough to meet one of my idols in the music world. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It is time to take our second break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up with some news from television. Stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, and I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to this final section of the GSMC Entertainment Podcast. So we are moving on to some news from the world of television, starting with the Buffy the Vampire reboot. It has been rumored for a while, and now it seems to be Midnight Texas creator Monica Owusu-Breen will be the showrunner on the new series. She seems to be saying all the right things. I don't know how I feel about it. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've been a fan for a long time. I've seen all the episodes multiple times, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how I feel in general about a lot of the reboots that are happening. The way Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series ended, really left a lot of room open for them to continue the story. They activated all the Slayers in the world, so there's not just one or two, because, yeah, never mind. There's not just one, and I think that would be a great jumping off point for a new series. I don't know that they need to reboot it, but that's what's happening. They're talking about having a very diverse cast, which I am cool with. But the showrunner, Monica Owusu-Breen, says a lot of good stuff. You know, she says, before I became a writer, I was a fan for 7 seasons. I watched Buffy Summers grow up, find love, kill that love. I watched her fight and struggle and slay. She says there's only one Buffy, one Xander, one Willow, Giles, Cordelia, Oz, Tara, Kendra, Faith, Spike, Angel. They can't be replaced. Joss Whedon's brilliant and beautiful series can't be replicated. I wouldn't try to, but here we are 20 years later, and the world seems a lot scarier. So maybe it could be time to meet a new Slayer, and that's all I can say. So we don't know when it will be out. We don't know how we'll be watching it, because Disney now owns 20th Century Fox, so it could be a Disney Plus streaming choice, but they're apparently shooting for a younger audience, so that might not be the best idea. Maybe Hulu, since that's also owned but now by Disney. Disney is taking over the world. But we don't know. We'll see how it goes, and I will hold off on my worrying that it's going to be awful. That's terrible. I don't mean that it's going to be awful. It might be awful. It might be amazing. I'm just feeling all cranky because I don't like change. So, but Sarah Michelle Gellar says that she's happy for it. She has no desire to be necessarily on it. She feels like she's told her story with that. She says, for me, the beauty of the show was the madness and horrors of high school manifesting in actual literal horrors. So David Boreanaz also says that he's good. He doesn't need to go back to that universe, although he would go back to the genre. Someone who does want to be on the series is The Flash's Jessica Parker Kennedy. She says, I can't even speak on it because all I want in my life is just Buffy to be a big, big part of my life. So I'm very excited it's coming back. Obviously, I think I should be Buffy, Jessica told The Tomorrow Show. I hope I get to audition for it as many times as possible, even if I need to crawl my way into that audition room. She said she's already called her manager, adding, I have called. I've made that call. I'm telling the world I've made that call because I just would love that so, so, so much. I love the enthusiasm. See, now that makes me excited that someone is, well, I'm sure lots of people are that enthusiastic about it, but I like enthusiasm. I will see. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure you'll hear more from me when it actually comes out, and maybe I'll be really happy, and maybe I won't be. Just depends. I'll try to be fair and open-minded. That's all I have to say about that. Another television-related story is that Alex Trebek has given an update on his 3-month battle with pancreatic cancer. He says that he's already beating the odds in that some of the tumors have shrunk by more than 50%. He says his doctors are amazed. This is in an article that he recently gave to People magazine. He is optimistic. He does know that the odds are stacked against him as there is only a 9% survival rate for this particular disease. He's been giving regular updates during Jeopardy, and he thanks the fans. He thanks everyone for the prayers and the good thoughts and everything that they have been supporting him with. He says if he has to be the the spokesperson for pancreatic cancer, then his advice is to just be positive. It sounds like he's being incredibly positive, at least publicly, about his battle with pancreatic cancer. So good news for Alex Trebek. Hope that good news continues and his positivity continues to have positive effects. So that is wonderful. Another story, not necessarily from television, but a story about good co-parenting. I am happy about good co-parenting in whatever form it takes. This time it takes the form of Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, and Alex Rodriguez. Of course, we don't know the inner lives of celebrities, but this seems like they're doing pretty well in terms of co-parenting their kids. The three of them were at Jennifer Lopez's and Mark Anthony's son Max's school recital, and showcased piano enrichment students and violin enrichment students. There were also opportunities for different grades to sing some well-known songs, including Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Those are so dramatic. That's hilarious. These are 11. Well, he's 11. He and his twin sister are 11. I don't know how old. It says different grades, but those are some dramatic songs. Alex Rodriguez, or it's A-Rod and J-Lo, as it says, both shared photos and videos from the mini concert. They are lip syncing in with the video that I saw there. The three of them are sitting together, lip syncing to I Will Always Love You. Mark Anthony is being very dramatic, which I would be too, singing along to I Will Always Love You. A-Rod had a sense of humor about it in his Instagram story. He wrote, "Those who can do, those who can't sit between two people that can and stay quiet. Hashtag I'm not a singer." Apparently this is not the first time that the three of them have come together for their kids' performances. Alex Rodriguez also has two daughters, and they, along with Emmy, Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony's daughter, were in a dance recital together in 2018, and the three came together for that. So I just, whether it's for the public face, I don't know, but it looks like they're doing things right. I commend people who are able to co-parent in ways that are healthy, in ways that focus on the kiddos more than the feelings of, the past relationships. So Jennifer Lopez and Alex Rodriguez are engaged now, and we wish them all the best. I hope that they, that this could be a good example of a celebrity blended family doing things right. I hope so. I think on that positive note, we will end here for this episode. Thank you for joining me for the GSMC Entertainment Podcast. Join me again next time when who knows what will happen in the world of entertainment. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.